Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Here with me today is my sister and I'll be making her up for her birthday. If you want to know how I was able to achieve this particular makeup look, please continue watching the rest of this video. So the first thing I did was to use an eyelash glue. This is one of the best eyelash glues that you can get in the market. Like, it can last for a week. It's so strong and really nice. So I placed the eyelash glue on her natural brows and then I carved the brows to put everything in shape. Next off, I went in with an eyeliner, and this is from Carrite Cosmetics. I went in with their black shade. It comes in a black and a brown shade. So I went in with the black shade using a very flat brush, and all I did at the front was to draw hair-like strokes at the front of the brow. Next up, I went in with these two shades of foundation. One is V Beauty and the other one is Zikel Cosmetics. So I went in with these two brands and two different shades. So I used the lighter shade to highlight underneath the arc, and then the darker shade I used it towards the inner corner of the brow. So naturally the brow comes in this form. You have the front of the brow, you have the arc, and you have the end of the brow. Once that was done, I went ahead to blend everything properly, and then I concealed the top of the brow. Unfortunately, I didn't get the whole of that on camera, but if you watch my previous videos, you will know how I was able to achieve that. It's not difficult at all. I just concealed the top of the brow using her shade of foundation. Next up, for the eyes, all I did was to apply concealer at the top of the lid like this, which is the crease area and towards the transition area, and I went in with my Flawless Ivy blending brush to blend all of that in properly. So you want everything to be really matte and for it to come out really clean and nice. So once that was done, I went in with eye primer, and this eye primer is from Ben 9, and I just tapped all of that on the crease area properly and then a little bit towards the transition area. So at this point, for the eyeshadow, I went in with this gold shade of shadow from Jordan Hill eyeshadow palette, and I just tapped that onto the crease area like this, and I went in with a burnt brown shade of shadow at the inner corner of the crease area and towards the outer corner of the crease area, and then just blended that properly on the transition area. Once that was done, I went in with black shade of shadow at the outer corner of the crease area and then towards the inner corner of the transition area a little bit. I just blended that properly just so that you don't know where the yellow is starting and where the dark shade also ends. I hope that is understood. And then I went in with red at the inner corner of her crease area like this and blended everything properly. Once that was done, I picked up my pigment from Ava Cosmetics and I just tapped that on the crease area because I wanted the eyes to pop and I wanted the shadows to complement the outfit that she was going to put on for her photo shoot. So that was why I went in with gold and gold pigment. So at this point, I applied that same glue on these eyelashes. Trust me guys, when I say when she wanted to pull this all off, it was so difficult. So if you want your lashes to last really long, you need to use this particular glue. I'm just going to write it so that you guys can see this particular brand. Trust me, this is not a paid post or anything at all. I used it and it was really nice, and it's something that I can recommend to anyone, any day, anytime. So I went in with Human Hair Lash. So I'm going to list the brands that I use in the description box so that you guys can see, because at the point where I was making this voice in, I really could not remember all. So I used Face Wipe to wipe off the dust from her face, and then I went in with this micellar water from Blossom Cosmetics. I had to buy like new products, new standard products, and I loved every bit of me using them. Like, it was just a breath of fresh air. There's just a different feeling that comes with having new things and having new products especially. So at this point I went in with vitamin C face serum from Blossom Cosmetics, and I just applied it in these areas that you can see me apply, on the T-zone area, the forehead, underneath the eyes like this, and I just used my brush to blend all of that properly by tapping onto the skin. At this point I picked up my V Beauty oil and sweat proof product, and I just used my finger, just tap that on my finger and then just apply that on her skin and blended all of it properly. So you could actually use a cotton wool to do this, or you could use your finger, whatever works for you. But for me, I used my finger, and I also went in with my brush to apply all of that properly into the skin. Next up, I went in with this moisturizer from MIS Cosmetics, and also went in with this grip primer from MIS Cosmetics as well, and it works like magic. I really enjoyed using this particular primer. It's absolutely beautiful. So I used a little quantity and applied that all over her face. Next up, I went in with this Cheek Rose water, and then I just sprayed this all over her face just to give me a very clean base. At this point I went in with foundation from Zikel Cosmetics, and I went in with their dark shade, and like I said, I'll be writing the shades that I used in the description box so that you guys can see. I went in with their dark shade, and then I just applied that all over her face. As you can see in the video, she's not so light and not so dark either. So for highlighting, I went in with this Flawless Ivy concealer, and I just applied that on her T-zone area like this. And I also went ahead to wet my beauty blender before blending all the products into her skin properly. So all I did next was to just tap the products onto her skin like this. I did not drag at all. I just tapped the products into her skin until it gave me a very clean and a flawless finish. So make sure that you are tapping onto the skin, do not drag, so that you don't have harsh lines here and there. So I went ahead to contour the nose because I had to chisel the nose a little bit just to give me like a very pointed effect. So I used my beauty blender to tap that onto her skin properly until I was comfortable with what I had. Trust me guys, once you follow this process, you are going to have like a very beautiful outcome. Make sure that the makeup is not too light, like lighter than her skin, and is also not so dark, I mean like darker than her skin. So in the areas where I contoured using my foundation, I will go ahead with the exact shade of powder for that particular foundation that I used on her face. And in the areas where I used a lighter shade of concealer, I will go ahead with the same shade of powder that matches that concealer. I do hope that that is understood. So I went in with a smaller brush at this point because I needed to get into some hidden areas like underneath the eyes. As you can see in the video, I had to change my brushes at different intervals. So I just went ahead with the light shade of powder and a dark shade of powder and blended everything until I was comfortable with what I had. I also had to contour the nose to chisel it down a little bit. So make sure that you use a smaller brush in order to achieve this properly. So once that was done, I went in with my CPD blush, and I went in with a pink shade of blush. I just tapped this on her cheekbone area and then towards the forehead. She's the kind of person that does not like so much blush. I just had to convince her to do otherwise, and she loved it at the end of the day. So once I was done applying my blush, I went in with setting powder, and I just applied the setting powder on her T-zone area. And the setting powder that I'm using is from Adventure Cosmetics. So once I apply it, I'm just going to dust off the areas where I don't want the setting powder to be, just to give me a very clean and a very nice work. I'm going to dust off the areas where I really do not need the setting powder to be. So these are my highlighted areas, guys, and these are my contoured areas. As you can see in the video, is quite precise and very easy to follow. So at this point, while I wait for the setting powder to set into her skin properly, I'm just going to go ahead to line underneath the waterline area with a black shade of eyeliner, and this is from Carite Cosmetics. And once that is done, I'm going to go in with a gold shade of eyeshadow underneath the eyes like this. And also, while I wait for the setting powder to set properly as well, I'm going to smudge the dark shade of eyeliner using a black shade of eyeshadow, just to make sure that the eyes pop properly. So at this point, I'm going to do a reverse contour underneath the cheekbone like this, and I'll do this for the both sides of her face. So once that is done, I'm going to go ahead to do her lips. So what I did was to go in with a brown shade of lippy, and I just used that for the outer corner of her lip like this, and then I applied that all over her lips. Once that was done, I went in with a purple shade of lippy just to shade the outer corners of her lips properly, both for the lower and the upper part of her lip. And once that was done, I went in with a yellow shade of lippy and then just blended all of that properly, and I really did love what I had. So at this point, guys, I went in with gloss because I'm a glossy kind of girl. She actually does not like gloss at all, but I had to force her because I knew the difference that it was going to make, and she loved every bit of it at the end of the day. So in order to blend the whole products into the skin properly, I went in with powder to dust off the excess setting powder that she already had on her face, and in the areas where I needed to contour again, I went in with a darker shade of powder. In the areas where I needed to highlight, I went in with a lighter shade of powder. So this is me applying a gold shade of pigment, and it's the same pigment that I used for the eyes, and this is from Avo Cosmetics, just to highlight the cheekbone and the face in general. So I applied the highlighter underneath her brows and also on her nose. I also went ahead to apply my blush again because at this point the whole product had already cancelled out the blush, and I wanted the blush to be quite obvious. Once that was done, I went in with my cheek rose water and my Seal It So Pro setting spray just to keep the whole makeup intact. And that was it, guys. At this point, we were done with the whole makeup, and she loved every bit of it, and I also did enjoy the process. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I do hope that it was helpful. If it was, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like and share, and also do not forget to turn on the notification button so that each time I post you get a notification and you'll be the first to know. I'm going to link some of my previous videos to this one so that you can watch them. I have lots of amazing stuff for you guys. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in my next. Bye.